overdue situation in Puerto Rico, and a grateful friend for many, many years. Because I want to be mindful of the time of members of Congress that are coming here, because they do have several hearings. They're going to be speaking, and I'm going to go in details afterwards to discuss the bill. But I want to first recognize Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy and Congresswoman Donna Shalala that are here with us today. Today we are filing, and Congressman Dong Young. What are we doing today? Today we are filing a bill with 45 signatures, original co-sponsors, in a bipartisan way, supporting an Admission Act for Puerto Rico, allowing Puerto Ricans to vote for statehood, yes or no. This is the first time ever Puerto Rico has been proposing having a plebiscite on the island the same day of the elections locally. So we voted in 2012, we voted in 2017. In 2017, 97% of the people who voted for statehood, but never before we got a plebiscite with the same questions Alaska and Hawaii did in the past. So that's the main difference of this bill, allowing Puerto Rico to vote on the election day for a simple question: statehood, yes or no. And this is the big difference, and I think members of Congress are mindful of the long overdue situation on the island regarding all self-determination as well as civil rights. I will go into details, but right now I want to recognize Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy for not just her sponsorship of this bill, her leadership on this issue since day one she was elected. Congresswoman Murphy from Florida.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. And thank you so much for inviting me. It's been such a pleasure to work with you. I'm Congresswoman Stephanie Murphy from Orlando, and I represent more Puerto Ricans than nearly any other member of Congress. And so I care deeply about Puerto Rico because my constituents care deeply about Puerto Rico. But I believe that every member of Congress should care about Puerto Rico because Puerto Ricans are our fellow citizens. And we're part of the same American family, and so we should fight for each other. I want to thank my friend Congresswoman Gonzalez, who is a wonderful advocate for the people of Puerto Rico. And I'm proud to join her as one of the lead co-sponsors of the bipartisan bill that's being unveiled today. The bill will authorize the government of Puerto Rico to hold the first federally sponsored status vote in the island's history, using funding Congress made available for this purpose back in 2014. And the ballot will be simple and fair, asking voters whether they want Puerto Rico to become a state, yes or no. Those who support statehood can vote yes, and those who prefer another status can vote no. That's what Alaska did, that's what Hawaii did, and that's what Puerto Rico should do. And this bill requires Congress to respect their wishes. I will support whatever choice the people of Puerto Rico make, but I personally hope they choose statehood. I believe it's the only way for Puerto Ricans to have full democratic rights and full equality within this nation, which they have contributed so much to. I think men and women from Puerto Rico who serve in the U.S. military with courage and patriotism should be able to vote for their president and commander-in-chief. I think they should have 2 senators and 5 representatives in Congress to defend their interests. I think they should be treated equally under all federal health and economic development programs. And I support statehood for Puerto Rico because I support equality for the people of Puerto Rico. They deserve to have the same rights and responsibilities as their fellow citizens in Florida and every other state. Puerto Rico has earned its star on the American flag, and I'll do everything in my power to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Congresswoman Murphy, and as I said since the beginning of the press conference, I'm going to be mindful of the members that are coming so they can go to the rest of the hearings and schedule. And I want to now introduce a personal friend that has been since day one when I touched her door asking for help in the healthcare issues of Puerto Rico, Medicaid, Medicare. She was always available, and actually we got 2 bills regarding this issue, and is the representative from Miami / Puerto Rico, Ms. Donna Shalala.
In Spanish, it's Shalala.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm proud to be an original co-sponsor of this important legislation. Puerto Ricans are long overdue to be treated like the American citizens that they are, and the only way to get that done is through statehood. As Secretary of Health and Human Services, I saw how unfairly Puerto Rico was and is treated in our federal health programs. And this has only gotten worse as we enacted new health legislation like Medicare Part D and the Affordable Care Act. Congresswoman González-Colón and I recently introduced legislation to fix a provision in Medicare Part D that hampers the ability of low-income people in Puerto Rico to access affordable prescription drugs. Our fix was included in the recent committee-passed versions of H.R. 3. But the truth is, we shouldn't have to be doing these one-offs, because the people of Puerto Rico deserve to be treated just like the people of Peoria or Pittsburgh or Pinecrest or the beaches, with all the rights and responsibilities that come with being an American citizen. Their future should not be dependent on the goodwill of members of Congress or whether they can afford to move to the mainland. They deserve to have representatives with all the same rights that I have, and to have 2 senators to look out for the island's interests. This legislation puts Puerto Rico on the path to statehood. I look forward to Congress taking it up. I want to thank my friend Congresswoman González-Colón for introducing this critical legislation, and we all have your back.
Thank you. This is a bipartisan bill, and the reason for that is everybody in Congress know how difficult it is every month to be fighting for different programs for allow Puerto Ricans to participate in those. But when they took a plane from San Juan to any other state in the nation, they got them immediately. You got 5 million Puerto Ricans living in the mainland and just 3.2 on the island. What's the reason behind it? It's not because you got better beaches here. It's not because of the weather. The reason many of our people are leaving the island is because they're looking for those opportunities. Opportunities not just in healthcare, having jobs, studying, getting the opportunities to succeed and live the American dream. We want to have those opportunities back home. And that's the reason, if there's somebody here that understands this perfectly, it's a member that actually represents one of the latest states to join the nation. He's been a force, he's been a champion for statehood in Puerto Rico. He's always involved in the issues of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has a big gratitude debt with Congressman Don Young, the only member representing Alaska in Congress, the Dean of the House, but as well, he understood this issue since the beginning. And he's always been in our side. He's always been fighting for Puerto Rico. He never asked questions. He always said, how can I help? And that's something that we will always be grateful. He's actually the only bill that has been approved in Congress in our history regarding providing this opportunity for Puerto Rico. It was his bill many years ago. So we want to have that same force and that same voice. And I want to introduce the Dean of the House, Congressman Don Young from Alaska.
Thank you, and I just was thinking about the Young bill and how it passed by 1 vote, and how I think this one will pass by a lot of votes. Mainly because this is a very simplistic bill that does the job. And I do believe that this will become a reality for the good of Puerto Rico and the good of the nation. I want to congratulate the Congress lady while she's been working with me and everybody else and everybody in this room. It's the right thing for Puerto Rico, it's the right thing for the Congress, it's the right thing for the United States as a whole. And I hope I can stand on that floor and cast this deciding vote in the sense decided wins for statehood for Puerto Rico. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for all that help. I think having this bill, chaired by Congressman Jose Serrano, which is the Puerto Rican Congress, we all need to learn from him and everything he's done. And actually, the $2.5 million that were put in the public law, it was because of him, his amendment, his work in appropriations to make that happen. Now, I wanna recognize Congressman from Utah. He was the chairman of the Natural Resources Committee, now is a ranking member. He understood this issue since the beginning as well. He visited the island many times during the process of reconstruction of Maria. I'm grateful to him for his together, and he is also here as our regional co-sponsor with you from Utah, Rob Fisher.
Jenniffer, I'm proud of all the effort that you're putting into this stuff. As the last speaker, not Don, but the one before was speaking, you realize that if you become a state, you're going to have 2 senators.
Yeah.
The biggest boon to any state is the fact they have to have U.S. senators. You may want to reconsider that. You know, maybe we get rid of the Senate first and then make Puerto Rico a state, and everybody would be better off. Puerto Rico has so much to offer and so much possibility that's there, and I think Congressman Gonzalez, you understand the situation here, that for this bill to pass, it takes 318 plus votes. You are working on a conscious way of getting to that position, and different people are going to have different reasons for doing it. Philosophically, Don and I realize this is the right thing to do. From the history of Puerto Rico and what it has done from colonial era down to the Korean War to today, it deserves to be a state. It ought to, just the philosophy of it. But at the same time, we have to realize, and you realize very clearly, that Puerto Rico has the opportunity to be an economic success. Don't have any resources, but you have other opportunities to make that. It needs political stability, and I'm very happy with the governor who is there right now trying to make sure that with those 2 factors, then you can go on the pathway for statehood, which should be there and needs to be there. And I just pledge, as long as I'm here, and I can say that quickly because I'm leaving.
I hope I can convince you.
I'll do whatever it takes.
Can I convince you again to stay?
No.
I'll work at that.
You have a better chance to stay there than that, but I'm for it. It's the right thing to do, and you are proceeding along a path that can be successful, and I appreciate your practical approach to it. It's going to be a good thing. Let me know how I can help.
Thank you. You've been hearing from many members, and I wanted just to recognize as well the 2 shadow members from Puerto Rico in Congress. One of them is our shadow senator, sobre, which represents Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, this is public law. I mean, this is the policy of the island. We did approve, when we approved when people voted for statehood in 2017, it was enacted a law providing for 5 members of Congress, 5 members, shadow representatives, and 2 shadow senators. So Sorry Fornilleras is the shadow senator from Puerto Rico, as well as former member of Congress, Luis Fortuño, and former governor of Puerto Rico, Luis Fortuño, as a shadow representative to Congress. So we do have an equality commission in place. But those members are not recognized in the House and in the Senate. And I can vote for the bills. I can vote for the amendments, but not for the bills. And as many members just said, we don't have senators. So every bill that is in front of the House and in the Senate, if you don't have a voice on the table with decisions I'm making, you will always be at the last at the end of the table. I want to also recognize 2 mayors that are coming from the island, actually representing what it means to Puerto Rico to having 47% of poverty level. None other state have that. And the reason for that, when the average annual income is $19,000 in Puerto Rico versus $42,000 in Mississippi, which is the poorest state, you can see the difference between having a territory, an unincorporated territory, for more than 100 years. And we need to solve that. So I want to say thank you to the mayor of Ponce, Margita Melendez, which is here, and mayor of Gurabo, Puerto Rico, Rosa Cheli Rivera, that is here, as well as a representation from the House and the Senate in Puerto Rico that are having their session today. I want to recognize Senator Miguel Laureano from from the state senate in Puerto Rico, as well as the former Speaker of the House, a member of the House of Representatives, Jose Aponte from Puerto Rico as well, and Representative Jose Quiquito Melendez, and Representative Eddie Charbonnier as well from Puerto Rico. Before I want to have our champion and our dean to talk here, I just want to explain a little bit about the bill. This bill recognizes the history of participation of Puerto Ricans in all theaters of war, since World War II, World War I, Korea, Afghanistan, Vietnam, and all theaters. More than 250,000 Puerto Ricans fought valiantly and with courage and valor. But they're returning home, even with an American flag that is not having their star on the top of it. And that's something that how you can represent people from the island when you can't vote even for that commander-in-chief that sent our people away. This is something about civil rights. We celebrate this year the 19th Amendment, allowing the right to women to vote. Still, Puerto Rico doesn't have that right. The last states to gain that was Alaska and Hawaii, and we're still waiting. It's been more than 120 years since we've been American citizens by law. But again, we don't have the opportunity to fully participate in all decisions. So that's the reason this bill is so important. We're going to be fighting to establish the lack of civil rights, but we also need to create awareness of the situation Puerto Ricans are living. And that happened after the Hurricane Maria. Many people knew for the first time that we were part of the U.S. as a territory. We want to change that and have the same tools and opportunities as a state, with full equal footing with the rest of the states. So having said that, and before allowing members from Puerto Rico and the Charter Commission to talk about this, I want to say thank you to a man that is always been fighting for Puerto Rico in his office, in Congress, in the floor. A man that I learned a lot of how to do things here because of his how humble he is and the way he pursues things. And he's always fighting for Puerto Rico. He's from Puerto Rico, and he's been here for many years, and I wish he can stay longer. And it's Congressman Jose Serrano from New York. He represents a lot of Puerto Ricans there, but he also represents Puerto Rico. And I'm grateful for the opportunity of learning of him, for his staff to help me out in many of the issues that are being of most importance for the island. Every time that the island needs resources, there's Congressman Jose Serrano in the Appropriations Committee providing and guiding many of us. And I'm grateful for him to lead this bill in the Democratic side and allowing us to have this conference today. Congressman Jose Serrano.
Thank you, Jenniffer, and thank you for your kind words. You know, if you talk about a course in psychiatry or psychology, you would have to take me as an example. Because I live in a state, I have all the rights of a member of Congress. But because my cousins do not live in a state, they can't be a member of Congress. And then only that, they can enjoy the same rights. So all I've ever wanted when people say, you know, are you a statehooder? Yes, I guess so, because I'm for equality. I want my cousins, I want my mother's neighbors and their children who may still be on the island to have the same rights and privileges that I have because I grew up in New York. I came to New York when I was 8 years old, and that's been my home. I never forgot my motherland, La Patria. And that's so important to me. And so what we're doing here with this bill is answering a lot of questions. And let me tell you, Jenniffer has been very good at not getting into any controversy. but I can't help myself. I'm from the Bronx to get into a little bit. There were some people, and we're still angry about the Yankees losing, so don't get us started, you know. There are people who say the majority of Puerto Ricans are want statehood. Okay, so what are you afraid of to have a vote that says statehood, yes or no? My hashtag when I put that question out in Spanish was "Cuál es el miedo?" Just have the vote. And then you could say, the people don't support it, and then people like me will have to figure something else out or keep quiet. Then there's other people who say, well, if we become a state, we'll lose our language, we'll lose our culture, we'll lose our way of living. It's true that we learn to wrap pasteles in paper rather than leaves in New York, but they never stop being pasteles. We never changed. And if there's any living proof that it's the United States that adapts to us as we adapt to the United States, it's the fact that Puerto Ricans who live in the States have never stopped being Puerto Ricans. They may not do it in the Spanish that I wish I could speak, but they do it. In fact, I've always told people, if you want to know the feeling, go to the Puerto Rican parade, and you'll see all these young people. And I've seen a reporter go up to them and say, what are you? ¿Qué tú eres? He said, ¿qué? ¿Qué tú eres? ¿Qué? No, what are you? ¿Qué tú eres? ¿Qué? He said, what are you? He says, I'm Puerto Rican. He said it in English. And some people say, well, there's something that's going to go wrong. No, nothing's going to go wrong. And lastly, very important, this bill, like other bills, but more profoundly than other bills, is destined to end the colonial status of Puerto Rico. So you cannot, opposition, muddle the situation by bringing in the colonial status as an option. The option is, do you want statehood to be admitted now, or do you not? And we know at the end, in fact, I think, if I read it correctly, the bill is self-destructive. If statehood is not asked for, the bill ceases to exist. It doesn't carry any weight after that. But this is the opportunity. Look, I look at Puerto Rico as that place that belongs to me. I defend Puerto Rico because it's a place where my parents were born, where I was born. But I know that we lose nothing when we're here. In fact, we'll teach a lot of other people how to be Puerto Rican, how to speak Spanish. We've done it already. And when I was in Don Young's Alaska, at Fort Wainwright, as someone who had joined, drafted, the only guy in the United States ever who volunteered for the draft. Try to figure that out, but I did. They moved your name to the top. But anyway, those guys who were there, my buddies from Puerto Rico, no one said to them, because we don't give you the same rights, you don't have to serve. And when they were shipped off to Vietnam, nobody said to them, because we don't give you the same rights, you don't have to serve. They went, many gave the ultimate sacrifice. It's time that we determine this is the way to go. ¿Cuál es el miedo? There shouldn't be any. Statehood, yes or no? Admission, let's have a plebiscite, let's have a vote. This is the most bipartisanship that I've seen in a long time. And a bill starts off with 47 co-sponsors, 45 co-sponsors. How many years I've been in Congress? Actually in public office. But I think it's the time to do it. And let me just say this, and that's why I've been hesitating. You might think I've been forgetting my words. Next year will be my last year in public office. Next year will be my 46th year in public office. 60 in the State Assembly and 30 in Congress. But my fight to bring equality to Puerto Rico doesn't end when I leave Congress. I will join as an advocate with all of you to continue that fight, which hopefully, after this year, we're right in the middle of it happening. So that we can bring another star on the American flag, which, like Jenniffer has said, has been earned over and over and over again. So thank you to all of you who are here. Thank you to the press. I can't believe I'm thanking the press. Thank you to the press.
You're leaving.
Thank you to the press who are paying attention. to this issue, and let's do this. It's the right time, and you know, we can't preach to the rest of the world that they must let go of people they treat badly in the whole colony in the Caribbean. That's a contradiction, and I don't want my country to hold my birthplace as a colony, because that's a terrible and painful contradiction. Thank you so much.
Mr. Serrano, I think he explained it better than anyone. And as the United States, the beacon of democracy, the reality back home is that we're still lacking of those rights, just because the Supreme Court decided that they can treat us differently and unequally, even when we are part of Article 4 of the U.S. Constitution that allow Congress of the United States to actually manage all the possessions and territories. And that's the reason we are discriminated every time there's legislation approved. You don't have the opportunity to vote in the House or in the Senate side. I will love to have here with brief, and then I will do in Spanish, brief remarks, shadow senator from Puerto Rico to Senator sobre.
Thank you, Jenniffer. This is a great day for Puerto Rico and for a great moment for the fight of equality of Puerto Ricans. This legislation presented today by our Congresswoman Jenniffer González constitutes a new chapter in the epic struggle of our movement. The time has come for Puerto Ricans to achieve the same rights and responsibilities as our fellow citizens in all 50 states. Lo voy a decir en español, es un momento histórico y grandioso en la lucha por la igualdad de los puertorriqueños. Esta legislación presentada hoy por nuestra congresista Jenniffer González constituye un nuevo capítulo en esta gesta patriótica de nuestro movimiento. Ha llegado la hora de que los puertorriqueños logremos la igualdad con los mismos derechos y responsabilidades que nuestros conciudadanos en los 50 estados. I just want to thank all the congressmen that are here, especially Don John Serrano and Bishop, for their help in fighting for this liberty for Puerto Ricans. This is really the greatest moment. I was there when the first young bill was approved, and we're still waiting, or we'll get there. And so I really thank Jenniffer and all the members here, and especially also Governor Fortunio, who also fought for this bill. So thank you all, and I hope that this year we can make this and achieve the greatest moment for Puerto Rico, being a state of the union. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joy. Former Governor of Puerto Rico, former member of Congress, Luis Fortunio, actually, it was under his leadership, it was approved the plebiscite with elections in 2012. And that plebiscite, I was Speaker of the House, we took the recommendations from the Clinton, Obama, and Bush White House, making recommendations about having options that were compatible with the Department of Justice in the United States, and actually being a final solution for status. And in that question, people of the island said that they never want to remain as a colony, as a territory, in 54%. And 61.3% voted directly for statehood, and that was in 2012. So with you, a shadow representative from Puerto Rican Congress, former member, please, Puerto Rico.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jenniffer, and I want to certainly thank Congressman Serrano. I still remember and cherish the moment that he crossed from one side of the aisle to the other when I was honored to join the House, and he surprised me by wanting to take the swearing in on my side of the aisle, which was the Republican side, and that was a very moving moment. He's not just from Puerto Rico. He's from Mayagüez, Puerto Rico. And Mayagüez, and my paternal grandmother was from Mayagüez. It's a beautiful, beautiful city, and what wonderful people come from Mayagüez, Puerto Rico. So it's a pleasure again. Congressman Don Young, I have had the honor of learning a lot from you, serving with you, welcoming you to San Juan since before I even thought I would be in public office, and certainly, and then learning a lot about your wonderful state of Alaska and visiting the state of Alaska again. Thank you for your leadership. And again, Congressman Bishop, what can I say? You've always been there.
Careful.
I'll be careful. You've always been there with wise words in so many issues. And you are a true patriot, and I think America loses a tremendous public servant. I hope that you will reconsider at some point, and I join Jenniffer in her ask. And certainly Jenniffer González. This makes a lot of sense. After we rejected in 2012 the current territorial status, the next logical step is this one. And it's very difficult to oppose both up and down or down, yes or no. Do we favor statehood, yes or no? And actually, it's a moment of truth, and we have to actually face it. And I'm thankful to you all for, especially to you, Jenniffer, for your leadership and for allowing me to be here. I'm honored to work with Zoraida Fonalleda and others as shadow representatives, and we run around the halls of Congress trying to gather support, and we will be doing that even more strongly to gather support for this bill. Para mí es un honor poder estar con todos ustedes, de Jenniffer González, en esta labor que se tiene que hacer para terminar con más de 120 años de coloniaje, lo cual no hace sentido bajo la bandera americana. Yo confío todavía que vamos a ver, ese día en que esa bandera tenga una estrella adicional, pero le toca al pueblo puertorriqueño votar por ello, y por eso este proyecto es tan importante. Muchísimas gracias.
I think I got the American flag with 51 stars behind you, if I can have it, so I can, isn't that, so we can give one to Serrano, to Don Young, and Bishop. So many people ask, how's going to be the flag once Puerto Rico is a state? And it's the same flag. We're just changing the order of the stars. We don't mind what is our position. It's just being there. So this is a flag with 51 stars. It's not a big change, but it means that we are represented here every time our people fight for democracy around the world. I want to now leave the mayor of Ponce, Mayita Melendez. She's been fighting for many of the rights and opportunities, not just in Puerto Rico, but here in the nation. Thank you, the mayor of the Lion of Ponce, Mayita Melendez.
It's not a lie because I didn't anyone, so I fight for my people, I work for my people. But I have to tell you this story. I have been many times since Hurricane Maria affects Puerto Rico and hit Maria. And I have seen many congressmen and congresswomen, and one of them told me, you have to come to DC. You have to tell the people what is happening in the island. What do you want? So big and waiting. I am 68 years old. And since I have 8 years old, I have in my hand a flag for statehood. And I believe in statehood. I believe in the social justice for everyone and equality. Equality, and we have not been treated equally, even though this man and this woman has worked a lot here in Congress to get all the funds and disbursement funds from FEMA. We really understood many years ago, now is the time. So we want to be very thankful to all of you in support this legislation, and at the same time to Jenniffer. She has been I will say she is Lady Lion at the same time like me, because but she has fight a lot, and she has explained everyone what we really need. So, thank you for all your support, and we believe in equality. Thank you.
I'll say briefly in Spanish and then we'll have the rest of the members. Para nosotros es un día importante. Nuestros veteranos de guerra, más de 250,000, han peleado en cada uno de los frentes de batalla. Primera Guerra Mundial, la Segunda Guerra Mundial, Corea, Vietnam, Afganistán. Todavía al día de hoy miles de puertorriqueños están en todas las bases militares defendiendo con pasión, con orgullo, la igualdad que representa la nación americana. Sin embargo, cuando algunos de ellos ofrecen el sacrificio máximo, vienen envueltos en una bandera a la que les falta una estrella, la estrella que los representa a ellos. Que estos veteranos no puedan ni siquiera tener el derecho a votar por su comandante en jefe, elegir sus 2 senadores o sus 5 miembros del Congreso o 4 miembros del Congreso. El Congreso que toma las decisiones que afectan la vida de cada puertorriqueño diariamente. Desde lo que comemos, dónde caminamos, comercio, educación, toda la vida diaria. Mientras la cláusula 4 de la Constitución de los Estados Unidos diga que el Congreso de los Estados Unidos puede disponer y actuar sobre sus posesiones o sus territorios, Puerto Rico va a seguir siendo tratado de manera desigual. Un Tribunal Supremo determinó hace muchos años en los casos insulares que podría discriminarse con Puerto Rico porque éramos precisamente un territorio. Este proyecto reconoce el poder que tiene hoy la legislatura en Puerto Rico, el poder que tiene hoy el pueblo de Puerto Rico para tomar esta decisión. Gracias a la asignación de $2.5 millones que el congresista José Serrano incluyó en legislación de apropiaciones hace unos años, Puerto Rico puede celebrar, hoy la Asamblea Legislativa en Puerto Rico puede celebrar una consulta de estatus el mismo día de la elección, permitiendo una pregunta con el mismo contenido que lo tuvo Hawái, que lo tuvo Alaska cuando ingresaron a la nación, estadidad, sí o no. Esa pregunta, por más sencilla que se vea, nunca le ha sido preguntada al pueblo de Puerto Rico. Y esta es la gran diferencia de este proyecto, que reconoce ese poder y reconoce que el mandato final lo tiene el pueblo de Puerto Rico. Lo hace vinculante la utilización de esos $2.5 millones federales para hacer esta decisión. Y yo creo que la isla ya está cansada de año tras año tener que dar esta lucha. Pero yo les digo una cosa, tomará el tiempo que tome. La lucha por el voto de los afroamericanos duró muchos años. La lucha por el sufragio universal de la mujer tomó muchos años. Y la lucha por los derechos civiles de Puerto Rico ha tomado muchos años, pero siempre va a tener en nosotros la defensa de esa oportunidad y de finalizar lo que muchos hijos de nuestra tierra no van a ver, que no vieron esa igualdad plena. Yo no quiero ver más vecinos de Puerto Rico mudándose porque se vean obligados a ir. Mi hermana vive en Alaska. My sister is living in Alaska. She moved from the island not because of the weather, as I just said. She moved because of the opportunities. And nosotros no podemos tener el castrar las oportunidades de nuestra gente simplemente por el zip code o por vivir en el Caribe. Dicho esto, quiero dejar con ustedes ahora al senador Miguel Laureano para que brevemente también pueda hacer sus expresiones.
Muchas gracias, Jenniffer, Congressman Serrano, Congressman John, and Congressman Bishop. Thank you for believing in Puerto Rico, for believing in Jenniffer. Es momento que el pueblo de Puerto Rico vote. Este proyecto que presenta nuestra comisionada Jenniffer González, lo que representa es la igualdad, lo que representa son los derechos y lo que representa es el respeto que merece el pueblo puertorriqueño. Yo creo que ya es mucho tiempo que el pueblo puertorriqueño ha vivido bajo un sistema colonial. Yo creo que este proyecto le da la oportunidad a que el pueblo de Puerto Rico conteste una simple pregunta: si quiere ser Estado, sí o no. Desde el Senado de Puerto Rico vamos a atender la medida que se esté presentando para que el pueblo de Puerto Rico tenga la oportunidad de votar en este plebiscito que se esté presentando y se le haga justicia al pueblo puertorriqueño. Jenniffer, gracias por tus gestiones con el estatus, con Puerto Rico, luego del huracán María y lo que has hecho a través de este tiempo que has estado como congresista del Senado de Puerto Rico. Puedes contar con nosotros.
Gracias. Speaker of the House of Puerto Rico and current member for Puerto Rico, and always for Statehood and Equality and the current chairman of the Federal Affairs Committee in the House, Jose Aponte.
Thank you, Jenniffer. This is a special moment for Puerto Rico, and not only for Puerto Rico. It's a historical moment to the Congress to move forward and to resolve the inequality of the people of Puerto Rico. You have the opportunity to give us, give the people of Puerto Rico, the citizens, the ones that participate in the wars, the ones that participate in many other areas of the development of our nation. So this is the moment. Go ahead and support the opportunity that Jenniffer is giving to the Congress and to the people of Puerto Rico. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Congressman. This is a wonderful moment. The issue of Puerto Rico is an issue of equality. That's what the United States stands for, equality. So if you cherish equality, you should support the Puerto Rican cause. So I see no reason why this bill should not be passed immediately. We should have both up or down, yes or no. I think it's the right thing to do. I will tell you this. I can assure you that if you do cherish equality, supporting the Puerto Rican cause is being in the right side of history. Yo creo que es importante, ¿verdad?, que estemos claros que apoyar la causa de Puerto Rico es estar en el lugar correcto de la historia. Así la historia nos va a juzgar. En Puerto Rico estaremos legislando, ya lo anunciamos, un plebiscito, una consulta, estadidad sí o no. Esperamos que esta también se apruebe. Vamos a consultar al pueblo. ¿Cuál es el miedo? That's what Congressman Serrano said. What's the fear? Why not? It all comes down to that question. What are we waiting for? What else is needed? That is why I thank all these people, you know, and Congressman González for her leadership. She is our champion, she's our friend, and believe me, if you ever see a congressman work harder than Jenniffer, you know, it's hard to find. I know that these people work hard, but I've seen Jenniffer through in her eyes like no one. When in one of the worst disasters in American history, you know, Hurricane Maria, she came up strong and fought for our people, for Americans in distress. And we should be grateful to you, Jenniffer. Thank you.
And before our last speaker, I just want to say that this is not my bill. This is not just my fight. This has been the fight of many Puerto Ricans before me, many members of Congress. For decades, Puerto Ricans have been fighting for statehood. Democrats, Republicans, not affiliated people are fighting for this longer than me. But it's my turn in Congress to do that fight and to be that voice. So I want to thank all of them that precedes me, all of them that were fighting for this before me. And I wish we can get this done. And if you want something done, you always ask a woman to do it. So that's the reason we're doing it here. So before that, let's have Representative Eddie Sherwood.
Thank you, Jenniffer, and good evening, everyone. For today, it's a very historic moment for us, especially the new generation in Puerto Rico. And we thank Jenniffer González and both the leadership of Congressman Jose Serrano, John Young, and Rob Bishop. This is a quick and simple answer, yes or no. There is no room for interpretation. If you support statehood, you just vote yes. If you support any other formula, you say no. It's very simple. And in our local level, there's always two different questions. First, people ask if this is a federal sanctioned plebiscite. Check with that. And second, a simple question, no room for interpretation. This is the opportunity that all Puerto Rican in Puerto Rico and in the US have to stop and end colonialism, discrimination, and have finally, recognition for our veterans and of the people in Puerto Rico. So thank you very much, Jenniffer González. Como dije ahora en español, un momento histórico a nivel local. Siempre la pregunta es clara. Primero, que no tiene apoyo del Congreso, hay 36 votos del Congreso, claro y sencillo. 45, mejor todavía. Y los que faltan. 45, no, I love that number. Y los que faltan. Y segundo, la pregunta sencilla, ¿sí o no? No hay espacio para interpretación. No va a haber, como dice el congresista Serrano, que habló de su corazón, no va a haber miedo. Si apoyamos la estadía, apoyamos la igualdad, este es el momento. Así que gracias Jennifer y gracias a los compañeros de parte de la Cámara de Representantes, cuenta con nuestro apoyo.
Yes. Let's now, we can sign the bill before going to questions. We can do it quickly here. And members can help me out here.
Eso no
Thank you.
Mr. Young, can you help us here?
Yes,
Where you want? Natasha, el shop también se acerca.
Es el acento sobre la E, ¿sabes?
Sharpie. Bishop.
Now we can answer questions, right? Any questions?
We're starting with Miami Girls.
Okay.
I wanted to ask, kind of most recent high-profile comments on this were from Senator Majority Leader a few months ago, where he kind of equated it, Statehood, with Democrats' socialist agenda. What do you make of your bill in light of the statements from, the guy who could keep this bill from getting to the floor if it does pass the House, and more generally, the President's comments about Puerto Rico and corruption, which I know are not directly related to statehood, but seem to kind of indicate a hesitance from the President